Are you going to see The Sound of Freedom?
Oh, no. I'm not against it, but...
That's something you wait to come to a streamer. Bro.
Yeah, like, I'll see it when it's streaming. Like, I
don't know if that's IMAX. You know what I mean? You don't
yeah, but that's a good...
I don't know if you need to be IMAX. I can smell the rape. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's on TV. I got nothing else to do. It's already on. Let's just sit here and see if it's good.
Yeah.
Going to buy. It's making money, but apparently people are like, I don't know, man. That's the thing. If you get people...
It's got good reviews, though. The Rotten Tomatoes and shit.
Yeah, but people are like buying 4 tickets and then just giving them away. That's part of their marketing campaign. Like Hollywood doesn't want this movie to succeed, so you have to make it succeed, which is brilliant. I mean, these guys are just
they've politicized the movie in a great way.
Yeah.
And like all the political figures are rewarding that politicization of it.
Yeah. Because it all feeds into their narrative too.
Exactly.
If you give people a boogeyman and make them buy, I mean, they'll buy whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Also, if you can be heroic, like you're heroic for seeing this movie.
Yeah.
And continuing to promote it.
And it's the perfect movie because not only is it against left-wing ideals, it's also
why is it against left-wing
pedophilia.
ideals?
I don't know. The left doesn't want this movie to succeed. Oh, because Jim Caviezel is a polarizing guy, and I think the director has espoused QAnon beliefs.
I think the criticism of the movie could come from the fact that the girl that it's based on, and again, who knows? I think Vice wrote an article about this or something. There's no from this reporter, and you know how biased fucking Vice is, but from this reporter, they're saying that there was really no connection, at least in the case, or from the girl mentioned in the case between her and Tom Ballard's group. Whereas in the movie, it seems as if he is the one who frees her.
Yeah.
Where the girl, I guess, was liberated here in New York. And when she was a little bit older and that kind of stuff. Now that's not to say that like a movie about sex trafficking shouldn't be made and it can't bring awareness. But maybe when you go based on a true story and there's a lot of separation between the true story, you know, you're creating an opportunity for people to be critical.
Yeah.
That's not to say that it's a justifiable criticism, but I'm sure in his position, he's like, well, we just want to shine light in the best way possible to this horrific thing that happens. So we might have changed some details, but the point is that people know that this kind of stuff happens all the time, and we have to put a stop to it. You know, whereas the detractors are going to say, oh, you lied about all this shit to sensationalize it so you can look more like a hero. And it's a weird position to be anti a movie shining a light on child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I don't
know if you ever want to play that position.
I think what they're afraid of is, let's say, they're assuming this guy has QAnon beliefs and is a QAnon guy, conspiracy theorist. This lends credence to that conspiracy theory, so even if this is okay, there will be more QAnon conspiracy theory movies made because this is successful. Yeah, I guess.
Like a gateway drug?
I guess, but like, even beyond QAnon, if you're making conspiracy theory movies, once you get to lizard people, I think we're all going to be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not
also, like, that'd be like
this.
saying Me Too is a gateway to like Hollywood, like anti-Semitic lizard people conspiracies. Like, oh, like Hollywood is controlled by a group
Make
of
that
people
connection because I like it.
I'm just saying, like, oh, Hollywood's controlled by like a group of people that are trying to exploit the people that are within it, specifically women, to like degrade them in order to give them roles, and that they're not actually trying to create the best art. And then could that lead someone to be like, oh, Hollywood is full of who runs Hollywood? Oh, is it Jews that run Hollywood? Oh, are they lizard? Are they evil?
Yes, you're saying it's slippery slope shit. Which I agree with.
I just don't think you could say like a movie about child sex trafficking could lead.
I agree with
Say the thing about the star, Caviezel, how he kind of...
Yeah, apparently, I'd have to look up his exact quote, but apparently he was at like a talk or a conference, it was like a Comic-Con type thing, and he was mentioning that the director couldn't be there because he was like, he was basically like off fighting the good fight, trying to like stop pedophiles, something like that. And they're trying to stop the pedophiles from using adrenochrome, which adrenochrome is like a big like buzzword within like the conspiracy sex trafficking community, that they're basically like terrifying children and trying to like drink their blood in order to like get some type of positive effect from it. So he like used that word specifically, which I think is like now feeding into the people that are interested in that.
And is that the only thing that he said? He said some kind of kooky shit.
He's had a history of some
Yeah, he's had some things, but I think specifically related to the movie, it was that quote.
Yeah.
But, so he did the movie with...
We did Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ.
He's Jesus, apparently.
Yeah, he is Jesus.
Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't see it.
JC. Oh, you didn't see it?
See Passion of the Christ?
I saw that with Dove. Yeah, when we were in Santa Barbara, I was crying, bawling, crying. The end of the movie.
And what did Dove do?
He slipped out of there real quick.
Oh, really? He felt a little guilty.
I'm surprised. Why didn't you see that? I would think you
I was like
said,
young when it came
opening
out.
Weekend.
I was young when it came out, and then I just never got around.
It's
to
not
it.
Catholic.
I
It's
saw
not Catholic. Actually, no. I think it is super Catholic. I think the directors are Catholic.
I didn't realize that the Catholics were real, just like a phony religion. Like it was just like a phony.
I think this is
the
gonna
oldest
be
church.
fun.
It's the
Like
church founded
phony
by Christ.
nonsense
The church
version
founded
of
by Christ.
Christianity.
Please explain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the real Christians are the Orthodox Christians, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Why that?
Orthodox, it just says it in the name. You know what I mean?
Well, the first church built by the Roman Empire was do you know?
Are you serious? Like, that's really
The
what
name
you're
of
gonna
the
do right
church, the city where it was built.
Catholics are up, bro. Sound of Freedom out this weekend.
He
Come on,
just won
people.
off nothing.
No, I'm asking you a question. Do you guys know which one it was?
No, are you
Not
asking?
you guys don't know, but he should know. This is a person who's familiar with religion
Yeah,
and
you
familiar with
should-
his
you
God.
should.
You should know the first church built
Hey,
by
it's hard knowing
the
specific
empire
shit,
that
bruh.
spread the
They don't
religion.
get that. They got nothing.
All right, I'm back on.
That's what I'm saying.
Do
Like
know?
you would think you would know the first church built, right? By, I mean, the empire that spread the religion around the world, right? Like, what is it?
But was that the first church that was built after Christ died?
No, of course not. But those weren't really churches that were built, right? They were doing it in like caves and shit. They were
Church, a
hiding.
collection of people, bro.
100%, 100%. So when it becomes valid, when it becomes real, when it becomes official by my man Constantine, where was it? Obviously, Constantinople, Hagia Sophia, the first church, Orthodox church.
Became Orthodox after the schism.
No,
Yes.
you guys became Catholic after the schism. They were always Orthodox.
That's what they would say.
Ooh.
That's what they would say.
Ooh.
They became Orthodox, bro.
Ooh. You know what falls apart almost immediately?
What?
That Western part of the Roman Empire, that Catholic part. You know what stuck around for another 1,000 years? That Orthodox Christianity. You know what's still around that area right now? That Orthodox Christianity. Didn't change their dates, didn't move that shit around.
And who
like
runs
these
Constantinople,
goofies.
bro? Who runs it?
God.
Muslims.
God.
Got taken over by Muslims, bro.
Honestly,
Look at you, Western
real
Europe.
recognize real. They ain't take over Rome. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying, Orthodox gave in to the Muslims, bro. They thought, yo, you guys are better. They looked at the Muslims, they said, you guys have the supreme faith. Whereas the Roman Catholics
You
in the
guys are
West,
still delusional. Huh?
they held it on, dude. France,
I think
the daughter
what
of the
the
church,
Catholics
bro.
did. I think what the Catholics did brilliantly is they. I think that they adapted the religion in a brilliant way, and because of that, it might not be as authentic, but it might be more palatable for
What are the
mass
differences?
consumptions.
I'm
It's
gonna
just
ask
like religious
Jonah, he
dates
doesn't know
and
what it
shit.
is.
I don't know enough to say, but there's like the biggest difference in
No,
religious
that is true.
dates.
Like Vatican II diluted a lot of like Catholic teaching. There was like, it had to be in Latin. Like the priest would be facing the altar, and then all of a sudden the priest like turned around. It became in English. A lot of things got like diluted. So even like diehard Catholics are probably more Orthodox than like than people would think.
I think in the Christian I mean, I'm obviously busting balls to rile at Mark and Catholics, but and just because I learned one new thing and I like to act like I know shit.
Just
But,
hit him with another finger gun.
Okay, yeah,
that won't work.
but like for example, I think in the Christian Orthodox Church, only bishops need to be celibate. I think everybody else can have like a wife, even if you're like part of the church.
That's a good rule. Y'all should adopt that one.
Well, I think
Why
they
y'all are
could. I
adopting
think you guys flipped that somewhat recently.
What?
The fact that the priests need to be celibate. That wasn't
Priest-
always the case.
Maybe. I don't know exactly when that got changed.
I think
still
that was
that way
changed
now.
later on. Now it is, but I think like that wasn't from the beginning.
But what the Pope says is essentially law for Catholics, right?
For Catholics.
Now that
depends.
Francis is like kind of pro-gay, are y'all
Depends.
pro-gay?
Yeah, whatever.
Now it depends.
Yeah, right. That flipped.
They got a
No, the
liberal
Pope. The
He's
Pope
like,
has to speak ex cathedra. That's like church teaching. So he has to speak like basically with all confirmation of the bishops for it to be church doctrine, and that's only happened like 4 times in the past like 150 years.
It's like getting a bill to pass unanimously.
Yeah, basically.
happening.
Whereas like the priest could just be saying wild shit. Or the Pope, like there's been popes that like people said that like were women. There's been popes that like had wives and concubines and shit. So like there's been popes that have done crazy stuff. But like the Pope will basically lead the church, but it has to be with all the bishops' approval.
Especially back in the day, being the Pope was a political figure. You were like the head of like the Vatican states. Like, so you were also like an army general.
Yeah, the Swiss Guard on your side. You had a
Yeah,
bunch
like
of-
they was fucking people up and shit.
Yeah.
And it was like political moves too. Like I think have you guys heard of the Medici family?
Yeah.
I've heard of
You've heard about there was like a prominent family in Florence during the
yeah.
Renaissance. Yeah, yeah, they were like big money.
They ran all the art, right?
Rockefellers and bankers too. But they commissioned all that beautiful art and everything that you see. And but they got some Medicis as popes. Like that was like full infiltration of a dynastic family.
Catholics were the first Jews, bro.
Talk
That's
to
what
me.
it is. People are like, oh, Jews run the world. It's like, no. Catholics were the first ones that were secretly running everything behind the scenes.
So that's the other thing that's kind of fire. It's like we don't give Catholics enough credit for that.
we need that, bro.
We don't
Jews
give
bit
them
our whole
enough credit
flow,
for
bro.
that.
Jews bit the whole flow.
They do. Catholics ran shit. Like,
Secretly, behind the scenes.
so did they figure out?
So how y'all fell off?
We fell off, bro.
Damn.
Got bodied.
God damn.
Did they fall off, or was it like? So I'm looking at this shit like, I guess there's still empires, and the British have an empire, but it was more colonial in the empire. It was like, hey, we're just gonna go over there and I guess take your shit. I don't know exactly how empires were in the Ottoman age or the Roman age. In my understanding, it was, yo, you're part of us, and we're gonna run shit over here too, and we're gonna have our people over here as well. I don't know exactly. Whereas, I wonder if the Catholic Church and other churches did like have like a religious empire and a religious colonization, right? Where it's like, we don't need to go there and run shit and figure out your laws and everything. We'll be your God, and you'll do everything that we say because we're God. And your king will need to fuck with us, because if he don't fuck with us, then we'll turn his people against. Like, there was an easier way to rule the world.
Yeah, you need theocracies before the internet.
You need,
Break
break that down.
Because you need some type of like overarching omniscient power to keep people in check.
And it used to be the monarchies.
Yeah, but even the monarchies, a lot of them were ran religiously, right? Like they would be
Because they realized that they would work
they
together.
work in tandem. And then King Henry's the one that broke off and was like, nah, I'm starting my own church.
these
whatever.
motherfuckers weren't letting me divorce these bitches.
Yeah, exactly. Thomas More, who I'm named after.
Oh, really?
He was the one that was like, nah, you can't do it. And he got beheaded for it. Yeah, that's my middle name. But anyway, yeah, but it's like you need theocracy in order to like control people, because you can't reach all these like far away
Yeah,
countries
you need
and
the
shit.
fear of God. And
That's why they call it the opiate of the masses.
And then you need the internet. And then once the internet comes around, people are more interconnected. You have like radio and shit like that. You have ways to connect and sort of surveil people and keep people in check in large distances.
so now we can get rid of
Theocracy is less important. Separate church and state.
theocracy.
Now you just need podcasts.
Theocracy is a problem. That's why you look at places like China where they like squash religion. Because
Yeah.
they're like, we don't need anybody beefing with us. We don't need you thinking you're going to get your salvation from them.
Yeah.
You get it from here. So now, interesting. That's why you can see the squashing of religion right now, probably, because it's like, hey, you're getting in the way. Stop making these people do what you say when we might need them to do some shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, what an interesting time. And I wonder if maybe the Catholic Church did that better than anybody else, where they were like, okay, we have so much power and so much control. We have to make sure that we don't abuse it to the point where the monarchies want to remove us from the power. So we have to work with them, but at the same time that we have to bestow the beauty of, loving God and Jesus in their lives, and they need to get joy from this and continue to do it. It can't just be fear, or else the next religion that's cool will come around and then people will jump on that one. It's like a really interesting, God, I'd love to like read something about how they're politically navigating this new world, like how the popes are sitting down with their cardinals and going, okay, here we go. We're spreading it, but we're doing it not by force necessarily, like back in the Crusades, but by hope. Like, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, hope is
But
their
it's
dope.
interesting.
Yeah, that's the drug. We just
Hope
give you
is their
hope.
dope.
Just give them all
Interesting,
hope.
Like here in the in America, there's like a group within the Conservative Party that they're outwardly saying, "Hey, we're Christian conservatives," where it's like they're tying now like their political views with Christ, like the
That's been
teachings of
happening,
Christ.
yeah.
But it's like now they're outwardly saying it. Before it needed to be like separation of church and state. Now they're like, no. All the things we're going to pass is in conjunction with our religious beliefs, and that shit is dangerous.
And it's supposed to be separation of church and state
yeah.
in our country. But what's really interesting is the conservatives that don't subscribe to the religious beliefs are really just what is libertarians, yeah, where it's like they're just the fiscal conservatives. And it's just interesting to see these two groups of conservatism rising in prominence, where it's like
You're just seeing what people value in their conservative values.
it's like, listen, we want low taxes and God. We want low taxes. I don't care about God. We want low taxes. You know, we want no government interference.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see them start to separate. And I think they're less powerful when they're separate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Isn't that
it's
interesting?
dividing the party.
Yeah.
Because before they were all kind of on the same page, and then a lot of people, I think a lot of liberals are finding their way to being conservative, but also don't want to. They're like, well, I want to pay less. Exactly what we said. Well, I'm liberal. I want gay people to get married. I want you to have all your rights, but like, fuck taxes. And then also they're seeing this kind of liberal thing where it's like, oh, if you don't agree with everything we agree with, then you're not us. So they're like, all right, cool. I'm a conservative, but I'm not that. I'm not that Christian conservative. That's weird. Y'all have that. So I think maybe that's why libertarianism is rising. I think that they're mainly like coming from the left.
What's the Democratic version of that?
Or
the liberal version of that?
I feel like we don't have a movement for the Democrats that is branded. Right now, the liberals are, if you are not completely with us, you are not us.
I think there's
That's the loudest voice.
I would say
like moderate liberals.
I would say liberalism and then leftism would be like the distinction.
Oh, interesting.
Like liberalism basically meaning like you are.
I'm tolerant. Leftism is I'm intolerant of intolerance.
Yeah. That's great.
I think it's the other way. Like leftism would be like I'm on like for social reform. Like we got to get like universal health care. Like we got to help people out. Like get housing for everyone. But like if you say like if you call something retarded, like you're not a bad person. And like there's a lot of comedians that would identify as like leftist. Whereas like liberal, and this is like a debated definition, but liberal would be like, hey, we need like yes, queen. We need more like diversity in Hollywood. We need all this stuff.
I
would think
those
it's
are
the opposite.
I
would think it's the
I think
opposite.
those are the exact opposite. A leftist is the extreme version of a
To me,
liberal.
yeah.
And liberal is like, I just vote Democrat. I'm liberal. I think gay people should be able to get married.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a drag queen
like
or whatever.
The
like,
moderate liberals.
Yeah.
Like moderate liberals are kind of what you're describing. In the
Yeah,
like
but
anytime you
start.
put "ist" at the end, it's kind of extreme.
To me.
Fascist, racist, leftist.
But we don't have a thing for liberals where they brand themselves.
Yeah,
I am
it's not
a
any better.
leftist or whatever. I don't hear that term like I hear Christian conservative,
It used
which
to
is
be
on the
called
conservative.
Southern Democrat, correct? Dixiecrats?
Oh yeah, that's probably a similar
In
thing.
the 80s, I think Reagan was a Southern Democrat before he was a Republican. I might be wrong, but I know there's 70s, sorry.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean, he
think-
was a Hollywood fucking Democrat until he ran.
Yeah. But I think there was a term Southern Democrat that was like sort of right,
Yeah.
the more right of left.
And then they
I
were
don't
just
know
like,
if Reagan was ever a Democrat. Was he?
He was.
Interesting. But was that a function of just being in Hollywood?
I don't know.
Like being an actor?
Like I think Hassan
We're
Piker
all
would.
swirling around different definitions, and Democrat and Republican have changed polls so many times in history. It's just
I think Hassan Piker would consider himself a leftist, is my understanding.
Yeah, and I would say he's pretty extreme in
yeah,
his.
leftist. Yeah.
But mostly on like financial and like fiscal policies.
And also, like, I would say racial and
Yeah, I think he's
gender
progressive, but I don't
policies.
think he's like so like socially radical on those ideas. Like I think like he would come on here and like joke with us.
I think he would joke, yeah, but I also think that he like believes very strongly about all those things, and there's no wiggle room on his beliefs whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of like Sam Cedar or something. Like would consider themselves like a leftist.
I don't know.
Destiny might be a leftist.
That's the guy that went on PBD's podcast, right? Sam Cedar?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
Like,
like,
yeah.
And so that's the way I understand it.
Like, I don't think that Hassan would be tolerant of beliefs that, even if they're like, for example, someone's religious beliefs, if he found them intolerant. And that's, I think, leftist.
Yeah.
So if there were some Muslim beliefs or there's some Christian beliefs that went against some of his leftist beliefs, I think he'd be like, yeah, you got to change that. Your religion is antiquated. It's some goofy shit you believe in. You got to get that the fuck out of here. Where I think a liberal, if they're actually being a liberal, they'd be like, yeah, I don't agree with you, but I'm open to your different lifestyle, and I have to accept you for that.
I think conservatives, it might have ended up backfiring, but for a long time they could just tie themselves to religion and then get a lot of votes that way and swing some elections. And now I think it's becoming divided to the point that it might fracture the party. I don't know. I mean, I'm talking out of my ass to a degree, but it just seems like libertarian and Christian conservatives are like, these are different things now.
Yeah.
Very different things.
Interesting. Yeah.